Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. This is Rafey Aleem with Realtors Cafe. Hope you guys are all doing fine and enjoying the summer that we're getting. Obviously, we're getting a really nice and hot summer this time. And people that are looking for vacations to Mexico and tropical spots like Jamaica and Caribbeans, a lot of them don't need to go anymore because we're getting some really, really good weather in our beloved Canada, in especially in the GTA region. We're getting the temperatures are up to 32, 35. I think some days it even feels like 40 plus degrees Celsius, which is a great thing to see for people that enjoy the summer here. Obviously, we get some really, really harsh winters in Canada sometimes. So to get a summer like this is a blessing. And I think a lot of the times we complain and say, hey, to our fellow Canadians, hey, we're getting a lot of cold and we're getting a lot of snow. And, now that we've got some really, really good weather, we must cherish it and, make plans to go out, enjoy as much as you can, with your family and your friends, and just really get out there to enjoy this period of time. I know in the afternoon it's very, very hot, so maybe you have to plan accordingly. Maybe go in the evening, after 7 o'clock starts to cool down a little bit. Our sunsets are somewhere around 9 o'clock. So you get a couple of hours to just go out and, whether you have to go to the park or, go to some sort of a hiking trail, enjoy the nature. There's some beautiful, beautiful spots all over the GTA. And I highly recommend that going out and enjoying because, in Canada, obviously, life is very, very fast and you're always on the go. Monday to Friday, a lot of the people, in their 9 to 5 jobs, they're working Monday to Friday. They get there Saturday, Sunday as the day to maybe, do some cleaning in the house or some gardening. So the evenings and weekends are the time to just wind down a little bit and just relax and cool off. So my recommendation is enjoy the summer as much as you can. And maybe next year, the people that have planned out trips and stuff, maybe you don't really need to go anywhere, because the Canadian weather has been amazing and there's so many good spots here. We have some really good beaches as well that you can go and really enjoy and cool off to get the maximum amount of enjoyment out of your summer. So with that being said, obviously, obviously our show is about real estate, and we're going to focus on some real estate topics, which I think would be beneficial to a lot of our viewers. So with that being said, let's move forward and talk about some of the topics that we look to cover in today's show. So the first topic that we have is, what do you get in 700K? Or, what do you get in 500K? First we'll start off with 500K, and we'll start with Toronto as the base, and then we'll expand outwards and tell you what you can potentially get with $500,000 in the GTA. And obviously, when you talk about 500K, you talk to maybe your friends out in maybe different parts of the world, maybe in Europe and Middle East. You say $500,000, and that sounds like a lot of money, right? But in Canada, $500,000 in real estate, will only get you so far. Maybe it will be an entry level house. Maybe it will be a first time home buyer's dream, because obviously the real estate market is very, very, I wouldn't say expensive, but the price points are relatively higher, especially around the GTA and extended GTA. Obviously, Canada is huge. And if you were to expand outwards to Saskatchewan or, places like Manitoba, obviously real estate is fairly cheaper over there. But if you're looking in the GTA area, if you're looking in Vancouver, obviously another pocket that has high prices. And because of the immigration happening in Alberta now, in Calgary and parts of Edmonton now as well, those markets are starting to heat up a little bit as well. So, obviously 500K, what can 500K get you in Toronto? Roughly about in downtown core, you're looking at about a 1 bedroom, 1 washroom. A lot of the times without a parking, Maybe one odd time somebody that's doing a distress sale might be able to squeeze a parking spot in there in the 500K. But generally speaking, you're getting a one bed, one bath, square footage. I mean, there's a term called a shoebox. But I think for a person or two, especially in the downtown core, 500, 600 square feet, tends to be more than enough. For the sort of the on the go kind of a living, a nice condo, will suffice. And sometimes that also comes with a locker as well. So 500K can get you that in Toronto. Now, if you expand outwards, if you get to, let's say, Mississauga, for example, Mississauga, you're looking at, it obviously depends on, which neighborhoods you're looking at. Obviously, Square One tends to be relatively more of a expensive neighborhood. But if you're by Erin Mills Town Center, if you're by Square One, maybe you can squeeze out a one bed plus den for the 500K. Possibly, you could get a very old two bedroom in there, but obviously space wise it would be a lot, smaller. It would be about that 500, 600 square feet. Getting a huge 900 to 1,000 square feet would be a bit hard for 500K. And once you expand a little bit further, for example, let's say if you get to Milton, in Milton, you could nowadays, especially in resale, for 550-ish around there, you could definitely get a two bed, which is not that old. It's not like 30, 40 years old or something like that. It's relatively newer, and you can land yourself in a two bed. To get a two bed, two bath, that would obviously be a bit more in price, potentially looking over 600K. But, if you're in the two bed, one bath in Milton, you might be able to get in with about 5 to 550-ish range. And as you expand further, let's say if you go to Cambridge, then you can potentially, get into a three-story townhouse. A three-story townhouse would most likely have one parking. Obviously, it would have, three bedrooms in it. It might have two washrooms, could even have three washrooms in there. It wouldn't be super old as well. 500K would potentially even get you a brand new, condo townhouse. It could be stacked, right? It could be stacked if you're looking for a completely brand new one. And if you're looking for relatively, a bit used, maybe 5 or 10 years old, then you could just get in with a three-story townhouse, which wouldn't be stacked. And obviously it would, that means if it's stacked, then maybe somebody is living upstairs or downstairs. You have different doors, and you barely ever hear them because the way the soundproofing is done these days. But potentially speaking, you could get a three-story, relatively newer, 0 to 5 years old, for close to about 500K. Now, to get yourself into a freehold townhouse, that will come with some sort of backyard. Then you're looking into places like, and obviously I'm talking more on the west end of the GTA. But you're looking at, places like Stratford. You're looking at places like St. Thomas. You're looking at places like Woodstock, right? And St. Thomas, Tillsonburg. Like those are the kind of pockets. Lindsay, Ontario. Especially out of these places, like St. Thomas tends to be a popular spot. Woodstock also tends to be a bit popular spot as well, just because, especially Woodstock, obviously close to the 401. So coming back into the GTA, it's not too long of a drive. And you could definitely get yourself in a proper three bedroom, three bathroom, a relatively newer, townhouse. It would be freehold. You'll have a backyard, perfect for, raising a family together with the kids and everything. Obviously, the ones that you get in Cambridge, for example, like the newer ones, they may not have a backyard. They might just be a three-story stacked townhouse. So, Woodstock will give you a little bit more options like that. Obviously, the more you further away you get from the GTA, because obviously real estate does depend a lot on the location. And I'm sure, as you've heard in the real estate terms, it's always been said location, location, location in real estate. And, it's held true 100, 200 years ago. it holds true today, and potentially, obviously, nobody knows the future, but I'm fairly positive that it'll hold true in the years to come as well. So that's kind of where your 500K would go. And then once you get to London, obviously, then things change a little bit, because London itself is a pretty big city, and you've got a good amount of population there in there as well. So because of the infrastructure that's already been built, you're looking at, again, more of a Cambridge sort of a setup, where you could get a stacked townhouse, like a brand new stacked townhouse, for that price, or maybe a three-story townhouse, but that would be obviously without a backyard. So that's kind of what you can get in your 500K range. And I know it sounds pretty crazy because it's $500,000, but with that being said, that's the Canadian GTA, extended GTA real estate market. Now, if we were to jump to, let's say, $1 million, $1 million obviously gets you, I would argue, a good amount of, you get a good amount of selection for your $1 million. So let's say we started with downtown core. $1 million will get you a really, really nice condo, and that would be a penthouse. It could even be a 3 bedroom, which are rare. Obviously, they're very expensive, but obviously, if you got a budget of $1 million in the downtown core, you could land yourself into one of the penthouses. If you expand it a little bit further away, like on the west end in Mississauga, you'd be looking at a townhouse. I know it's not ideal, but obviously it would have some sort of a backyard. It would be fairly renovated, and obviously it's $1 million to be in good spots in Mississauga. Like, so, for example, we always talk about, for example, Churchill Meadows, right? So $1 million here and there could get you a nice 2-story, 3-bed, 3-bath. It would even have a basement that's finished. Would have a backyard as well. So that's what you would get in for $1 million. If you went to Milton, for example, now here's the thing: Mississauga, Milton pricing more or less, tends to be, on par with each other. And Milton, you just get a little bit of a newer construction, because relatively has been built relatively newer in Milton. So you could potentially nowadays distress sales. You could get for $1 million, 1 million to $1,050,000, give or take. You could land yourself in a small detached house, and that would be a proper detached house. We're not talking about a bungalow or anything. It's a 2-story. It would most likely be a 3-bedroom detached home. Square footage wouldn't be too crazy. Obviously, it might be like a 1,500-1,600 square feet house, but obviously you would get your privacy. It could have a long extended driveway. It might have a potential for a basement in the future, or even a legal rental basement in the future as well. So, those are, the options that you could get in Milton, and it'd relatively be a bit newer as well. So that's your option there. Now, if you slightly go a little bit more to the west, that's when you start really getting a lot of opportunities, because in Kitchener and Waterloo, obviously Waterloo is a little bit more expensive because there's a lot of universities there. Big companies are there as well. But if you're in Kitchener, or especially in Cambridge, if you had a budget of $1 million, you could easily get a double car garage, detached house, and that would have your 4 bedrooms, 4 bathrooms. That tends to be like the Canadian sort of dream, where eventually, after working so many years, and just going through all the hassles of going to work and making money and saving money and all that kind of stuff, finally, eventually, landing yourself in a nice double car garage, detached house, usually 4 bedrooms, and perfect for raising a family as well. It's great for entertaining guests, because it has nice sort of features in it. Plus, it also has like a living and another family room side by side. A lot of times, it even gets a loft upstairs. Basements are finished in that $1 million in Cambridge. So it's a relatively good price point to get yourself into that. But then obviously, yeah, you have to reach out to Cambridge, and you also have to do your homework in terms of which neighborhoods are really, really good in Cambridge, right? So you have to figure that part out as well. And as you go out even further, like let's say in places like St. Thomas, Tillsonburg, and Lindsay, Ontario, Stratford, then you could get even a bigger house, right? You could even get like a 3,000, 3,500 square feet house for $1 million because property tends to be a little bit cheaper in those cities. So, that's what you could get with that kind of a budget. So this was our segment of what you could get for 500K, $500,000 in GTA, extended GTA, and for $1 million in GTA and extended GTA. So when we come back from break, we have more topics, real estate topics for you. Don't go anywhere. We'll catch you on the other side.
लजीज खाना और जायका लाजवाब चिकन टिक्का कबाब या बिरयानी यहाँ मिले मजे की कहानी आइए खाएं दिल भर के लोहारी फ्लेम है सबके लिए जायकों का घर खुशबू का नाम लोहारी फ्लेम लाजवाब नाम लोहारी फ्लेम जहाँ जायके जीते दिल
Come to Lahori Flame and enjoy हलवा पूरी, नेहारी पाए, लच्छा पराठा, आलू पराठा और मूली पराठा। और सिर्फ ये नहीं, enjoy our family barbecue platter, लाहौरी चाय, कश्मीरी चाय, चिकन कढ़ाई, मटन कोन्ना और हमारे सबसे मशहूर गोलगप्पे। Visit us at 4700 Ridgeway Drive, Unit 68, Mississauga. Call 905-607-0202.
लाहौरी फ्लेम जहाँ जायके जीते दिल।
Studio single and 2 bedrooms with amazing prices. Contact Anju Malik in Canada on 905-965-4786.
My mission?
My mission is to advance the UN's climate goals,
to create global links through game design,
To use technology as a universal language.
Muslim Welfare Canada has made a concerted effort to lead the fight against child labor, poverty, and illiteracy in third world countries through the generous support of our donors. Both girls and boys receive free, good quality education. Help educate a needy child for just $1 a day or $30 per month. Donate generously. Call 1-866-754-3111 or visit mwcanada.org.
Welcome back, guys. This is Rafey, Aleem with Realtors Cafe, and thanks for tuning in. And we're back with yet again some real estate updates for you guys. So as we talked about before going to the break, what you can get for 500K in GTA, extended GTA, what you can get for $1 million. And if anybody wants to obviously learn a little bit more about what their options are, maybe if you're a first-time home buyer that's looking to get into the market, obviously take advantage of the slow real estate market that we're in, and just get in because you wanted to for so many years, or maybe you've been renting for a good amount of time and you've been just giving away your money to your landlord's mortgage. Maybe this might be an opportunity for you to jump into the market, and you could just get in touch with us directly. Our cell phone number is 647-835 7768, which you see on the screen as well. So, you can get in touch with us, and what we'll do is we'll actually just sit down with you, and we'll book an appointment, and first understand obviously what you're looking to do, and then secondly, be able to help you make a plan that could drive some sort of some sort of an action plan where you can follow it by getting to one benchmark and then the next and then the next, that leads you to a home ownership in Ontario. So, with that being said, obviously, it takes a lot of due diligence, and you really have to understand the market to be able to get into the market and make a good move. And I always say this, especially in Canada, like, because the real estate is, I wouldn't say volatile, because we really haven't had, too many of bad days. This is sort of the low period that we've had in the recent past. But real estate tends to be pretty lucrative. It tends to be pretty appreciative, and it rewards you for making a good move. So if you do make a decent move, and it could just only be one move that you really need to make to put your life ahead, you obviously just need to get in touch with some expert that could just sit down with you and understand your situation and help you navigate through all the things that come up, and help you understand what it takes to get into the market. And we have a bunch of agents on our team that could help you out with that. So we'd be more than happy to, sit down and understand, what your goals are for real estate. Moving on to our second topic, which we obviously discuss the current sort of updates of real estate and what's happening. And, it's not new. It's not really new news that obviously the market is still relatively softer, but at the same time, July has been a fairly decent month for properties all across Ontario, especially in the GTA. GTA has really picked up a little bit in July, and it could be a few factors of that. People tend to go back to your vacations are kind of done in end of August, and schools are starting in September. So people usually tend to make their moves sometime, roughly around June, July, to find a house and be able to close it, sometime at the end of August, beginning of September, so that, their movings and everything can be done before the kids go back to school. So, those are the things that people kind of, those buyer patterns that we see over the period of time. And, with that, you can also, plan, maybe you're a seller that's looking to plan, your property to be on the market. Maybe this might be a great time to actually just put it on the market and see what kind of reception you get. So we have seen generally, obviously, keeping aside like a really, really great market, usually in a regular market or a slow market, winters tend to be a little bit slower, obviously due to the weather conditions, and people just don't really want to move in the winter times. So maybe this might be a good time for you to get into the market just for a month or two, feel out the market, and see if this is a good time for you to list your property. One last thing, obviously, I want to say before we go, that is, we have July 30th, we have our interest rate announcement by Bank of Canada. And Bank of Canada will be announcing if they're going to be reducing the rate or not, or maybe holding it steady. Most of the people in the industry, of course, all the sellers are also hoping that there's some sort of a rate cut that comes, because obviously we've seen a little bit of rate cut obviously means a little bit more stimulation into the market. So we're yet to see that. Even the last one, we didn't actually get a rate cut. So, we've got a lot of people, especially the banks, that are hopeful for a rate cut coming up on, this Wednesday on July the 30th. And, maybe there is a good amount of speculation that it may happen. But don't be surprised if it doesn't happen, because there's a lot of factors that are pointing towards that as well. And obviously, we just don't want to have a post-COVID market where everything just went a bit haywire and went a little, crazy with the price points and everything. So, we're obviously going to see that. And, when we come back next Monday at 9 o'clock, we'll obviously discuss if the rate cut did go down, what were the implications of that, or what led it to go down, and if it didn't, then we'll also discuss those as well. And with that being said, I think like I said, if you have any questions or concerns about real estate, whatever your journey is going on with real estate, feel free to do share with us, because we'd love to have some of live content, people's stories, and stories is what connects people with one another. So if you've got a real estate journey, a real estate story that you'd like to share with us, do give us a call. We'd be more than happy to understand what your situation is, help you out with whatever we can, or simply just share it on TV where people can maybe learn from your situation, or maybe how you were able to solve it, and after you did X, Y, and Z, and maybe other people can benefit from that as well. With that being said, I think we're gonna close off the show for today, and thank you for staying with us till the very end. And we look to obviously see you next week, 9 p.m. This is Rafey Aleem with Realtors Cafe signing off. Take care.